If you're a GCSE or A-level student watching this video, you have exactly 70 days until exams start, starting from when this video is uploaded. 70 days ago was around Christmas time. If you really try and internalize that time frame, that isn't a lot of time at all. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how you lock in for exams so you get the best grades this summer. But before that, I want to start off with a story. Around 2 years ago, when I was a GCSE student, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I wasn't really that smart at all. Like I didn't always get these good grades in my exams and stuff. So I would sit down on Reddit and on social media, and I would genuinely try and consume as much GCSE or study content as possible to try and get the best in my exams. And this is probably like you as well. You probably watch a lot of study YouTubers, and honestly, you feel really, really anxious, right? Like, people use these kind of like clickbaity titles and stuff to basically scare students into caring more. And it does work, but I remember the feeling of anxiousness really eating me from the inside, just because of how chaotic everything was. I remember going on r/GCSE, like a Reddit page, and I remember seeing the amount of people panicking on there. And this genuinely just made me really, really anxious and really, really, I wouldn't say depressed, but like very, very nihilistic for the future. If you feel like you relate to this video and you feel really, really lost when it comes to revising for exams and you don't really know what to do, you see all these people on social media like flexing all of their nines. You probably see me on YouTube saying, oh my god, like I got all A stars and stuff, but you don't know exactly how they do it, or you don't know how so many people do get the best grades. This video is for you, because I remember being in exactly the same position. I used to get like very average grades. I used to get like grade 4s and stuff, but I did the correct things, and that just led to me getting the best grades. A lot of people don't know this, but you don't really have to change your mindset to get the best grades in any of like the summer exams or stuff. I still mucked about in pretty much every lesson, and I got pretty much all nines. People really don't understand this, but there's only like a few actions you need to do in order to get the best grades. And as long as you do them, you don't have to be like the model, like teacher's pet student. You don't have to be like some neek just revising 10 hours a day. There's like, if you do the right things that I'm going to show you in this video and implement your work in such a way, you can get away with being like a normal student who's not really a neek, but still get like exceptional grades. So without further ado, I'm going to go on to the first step you need to do in order to lock in for the summer. Step number 1, planning. You probably haven't heard this before, right? You've probably, the extent to planning you've seen by your teachers or online is just, oh yeah, just like make a revision timetable. But I don't think that's enough. How many revision timetables, be honest, have you implemented in the past? Like fully? Probably maybe one for your mocks or something. You haven't been consistent in implementing a consistent revision routine, just because, in my opinion, I was really inconsistent as well. And some days I'm not productive. I'm not productive all the time. But I think my revision has significantly improved just because of this one thing that I do. And it's planning to the end. In the book 33 Strategies of War by this guy named Robert Greene, he says that the best way, or like one of the best ways to win a war, is to plan intricately to the end. You're meant to plan. I know that the exams aren't like a war, but it's any sort of event that you have to prepare for and perform for, which includes exams. It is very important that you plan right to the end. You need to know exactly what you're doing and exactly what your weak points are at this moment, and plan exactly what work you're going to do until the very end. What I'm proposing to you is that if you can basically list out all of your topics from all of your subjects and basically know exactly what worksheets and stuff you're going to do to revise for these topics, if you plan that out until the end of exams, you're going to have such a clear path forward in order to improve. You're going to have like all of this really weird anxious feeling of anxiety and stuff that loads of people feel, or like this really like lost feeling people feel. I used to feel this a lot. I used to just feel really down. Like anytime people, like, you know, when people ask you, oh yeah, like how's revision going? I wouldn't really know if I was being productive. I wouldn't really know if I was like on track to get the grade or not. And this really takes the uncertainty out of it. If you plan right to the end and you know exactly what work you're going to do per day, you're basically removing this sense of anxiety from your revision routine. So what I'm going to tell you to do now is go to my description down below, and I have the free like Excel spreadsheet called the warm up. I know it sounds cringy. I know I'm not. Who's that guy online? Like Luke Belmore. Like I study, bro. In the war, I'm not that guy, bro. Like I know it's cringe. I know how cringe it sounds when I say, oh yeah, use the warm up, bro. Study, bro. But just literally just plan out exactly what work you're gonna do per day until the end of the exam. It's basically a massive spreadsheet. I'll put it on screen somewhere with exactly the day, and it has some boxes, and you can basically put work in you want to do until the rest of the time until exams. So for example, if you use this properly, if you plan exactly what work you're going to do until exams, like that's what, 2-3 months, and you know exactly what work you're going to do per day, you should be able to tell me on March the 27th what work you're going to do on that day. That's how intricately you need to plan. Now, a lot of people are going to click off this video just because of how long it is, or like they can't be asked to plan. But this will change your revision routine. This will get you the best grades. If you really just take time in preparing and planning exactly what work you have to do for the exam, like that's basically 80% of the uncertainty done. The other part of the uncertainty is how you perform in the exam, which I'll go on to later in the video. But as long as you just plan exactly what you're going to do, exactly what work you're going to do per day, you'll be fine. If you don't really know what work you have to do to improve your grade, I actually made an entire video describing exactly how you do work and how you get the best grades and like how you plan your revision, and I'll link it up somewhere here. I'm not going to waste time into explaining that just because it's just like long, but you're basically meant to use the 80-20 rule. Just do the highest leverage work. If you watch my video, you're going to know what that means, but just basically plan intricately. Step number 2 is changing your identity. So, okay, now you've planned pretty intricately. You know exactly what you're going to do every day until your exam. I'm assuming, like, if you haven't done that, go pause the video, or like after this video, spend about 2 hours just planning exactly what work you're going to do per day. I know you're not going to be 100% perfect, but it's better than having no plan. The second problem you're going to run into is, all right, so I've planned my work 2 exams, but I've only got like a grade 3 in past tests. This was me when I was in my English language arc in GCSE. I hadn't read an actual book. Like I would go as far to say as I genuinely didn't know how to read properly. Like the only book I could properly like read was Tom Gates. Like it's the book with the pictures in them. I could only read picture books just because I could like physically read, but whenever I tried to read, I would pass through one sentence, read the next sentence, and I would have forgotten the first sentence. Now, of course, like ever since year 12, I only started to learn how to read after year 12. But before that, I genuinely didn't know how to read, and I still got a grade 9. So there's no excuses for you. Like, if I didn't know how to read and I still got a grade 9 in GCSE English language, you should be able to get a grade 9 in GCSE English language. If not, go watch my video. I made like an entire big like course guide thing on YouTube on how you get a grade 9 in English language. But anyway, so when I was in my English language grind and I was doing that for exams, I would try to revise the exam, but I would always get the same grade. I would always like get a grade 4 for no reason. I would genuinely like actually do the work. I would do practice questions, but I would still just get the same grade. It would just like plateau. And the reason you can't, even though you're doing the work, but you can't get better grades, is because of something called identity. Now, please don't click off this video. This is very important. But identity is basically how you see yourself as a student. I saw myself as a bad English student. This could be objectively, I was a bad English student. But my mindset towards it reinforced that. So, to put this into perspective, I genuinely believed that I couldn't get good at English because I was brown-skinned and I was from India. That is just a limiting belief I held. I genuinely thought that because my parents, I speak a different language at home, I speak Urdu at home, I couldn't get a better grade than all of these people in my class who read like tons and tons of books. Just because I was brown, like literally my limiting belief was just derived from I was brown-skinned and I was from India, so I couldn't perceive myself as getting a good grade in English. But as soon as I was like, oh yeah, like it doesn't matter, like your race doesn't matter when it comes to GCSEs. Like all you have to do is just, as soon as I like clocked it that, oh yeah, like brown people can get a grade 9 in English language. Like that is possible. I can get a grade 9 in English language. Like literally the next week I started getting better. You have to, really examine your mindset. There are some limiting beliefs that you think you can't do, which are holding you back. I see this a lot. I tutor people in my free time, and I see this a lot in like the immigrant sort of like Asian community, where they like the parents say, oh yeah, like my son isn't good at English, but he's good at maths. What makes you say that? Like, are you genetically not better at English? Or like, if we analyze your brain, would it say, oh yeah, like you're not good at English? Really, really like examine your beliefs and examine your belief system. Because as soon as I started doing that to me, and as soon as I started, literally, it's so cringe, but as long as you start believing in yourself, your grades will start going up if you put in the work. So that's how my story went. If you're not convinced, think about it this way, right? If I take two math students, right, one of them has gotten a grade D in his A-level maths exam mock, in the previous mock, and the other person has got a grade A star, and we teach them a completely new university topic. Both of them haven't seen the topic before. Who is going to get a better grade in the test if we test them? The A-star student, the guy who's gotten a better mark in the mock. But now, why is that? Why would the A-star student who's got an A-star previously get a better grade if the topic is completely new? Like none of the two people have heard of it before. It's just because the A-star student just sees himself as a good math student, and that belief has just throttled him and like helped him get a better grade. I know this section sounds so wishy-washy, and I probably haven't done justice in explaining it fully. So if you want to get like more information on this, go read the book The Magic of Thinking Big, because I read this book in year 12 and it genuinely blew me away. It's so good. It talks about like how you see yourself and how you perceive yourself, and this is way more important than people realize. So that's the second point. Just see yourself as a better student in the subject you want to get better at, and you'll get better grades, provided that you put in the work and follow the plan. Step number 3 is your mental health. Student mental health has been on an all-time decrease in the last 10 years, I think the statistic was. I think from 2011, I'm not going to pull out the statistic. Go find this yourself, bro. Like, I can't be asked to, like, go... I have A-level soon. I can't be asked to, like, go find the statistic. But the general consensus is, over the last 10 years, student mental health has drastically decreased, and over the last like 30 years it's decreased like by like a few percentage of students reporting like proper mental health problems and everything, and student mental health is on an all-time low. And in my opinion, I'm not like a registered mental health professional or anything, but I think it's because of social media. Really think about this, right? Imagine you're a GCSE or A-level student like 30 or 50 years ago or 40 years ago. You wouldn't have the same amount of pressure as you do now to get better grades. If you're into like this study and productivity space, your TikTok FYP and like your Instagram reels are probably just all students as well, or like they're all like productivity people as well. And everywhere you go on YouTube, you find videos like these saying where the guy's like, oh my god, like I got all 9s in my GCSE, and this just makes you feel way more anxious than it would have 50 years ago. 50 years ago, or like 30 years ago, you would have gone to school, they would have told you, oh yeah, you have an exam in like 4 weeks or something. You would have gone home and forgotten about it. No one's really going to talk about it unless you speak to people from your school. But now, as soon as you open your phone, bombarded with like GCSE or A-level, like A-level people online, or like YouTubers online telling you, oh my god, like you have exams in like 70 days. As soon as you go start like talking to your friends, you're going to speak about exams. As soon as you go to school, your teachers are like, oh my god, like you have exams in like 50 days. This, in my opinion, isn't really a good thing. I think that a lot of people think that, oh yeah, we're just like, we're pushing students to try harder. But if you're constantly surrounded by the influence to get better grades, if you're constantly surrounded by people who are pressuring you to get better grades, it's going to eventually just ruin your mental health. This coupled with, I know a lot of people in this niche who just sit down and revise all day. Like you people, I know people in my school, because I go to a grammar school, so it's like a really good school in the UK. Like it's one of the top like 10 or something in the UK. I know people who literally quit the gym, quit exercising, quit going out with friends to just study. So imagine their day in the life. They come back from school where all their teachers are like, oh yeah, like you have exams in 10 weeks. They go on their phone, their FYP is just other students saying, oh yeah, we have GCSE mocks in like 3 weeks, guys. They go home and just study the entire day. They never do anything for their mental health, and that is going to cause you to get worse mental health in the future. And you're probably asking me like, oh yeah, like I don't really care about mental health, or you probably think that, oh, like I know my audience in this video is probably like 85% male or something like that. So a lot of us dudes are just like, oh my god, like I don't care about mental health, I just want grades, guys. But a better mental health will help you get better grades. I promise you that. I've had bad mental health in the past. I've had bad mental health in year 10. I wouldn't say it's like registered, but I think I had like literal symptoms of a panic attack before like a GCSE mock. I was literally like breathing heavy and everything. Like I felt like really lightheaded. I felt like I wanted to throw up before the exam. And as soon as I started improving my mental health, this all went away, and I'm way more relaxed and stress-free in my exams. And do you know what happened to me after? I got all grade, like I was studying so much for my year 10 exams, year 10 mocks. I didn't get good grades. I got like 4s and 5s. As soon as I started improving my mental health, which I'll tell you exactly how to do later on in this video, I started getting grade 9s in all of my subjects, and I'm just not stressed for exams anymore. I can't be like properly like anxious about exams anymore. Like I have like the kind of stress, like the healthy kind of stress, but I don't have the overwhelming like feeling of it eating me inside anymore. And this all comes down to your mental health. As soon as you start improving your mental health, you're going to get better grades, and also you're just going to feel nicer doing your exams. You just treat it more like a game. So the way you improve your mental health is by doing two things. You do something called gratitude journaling, and journaling in general, and you do something called meditation. I have guides on exactly how to do both of them in this channel, so go and watch them. I know the quality of it's not that great, but go and watch those two videos, because I think that if you really follow those habits and you just implement them, you're gonna improve your mental health, and you're just gonna be way more happier whilst you do your exams. This was a long video, and I know I rambled on for quite a while, but I genuinely believe if you just do these three things: improving your identity, improving your mental health, and also planning intricately until the end, there's pretty much nothing else that's going to stop you for getting good grades in your exams. I do want to say something. If you haven't locked in for the entire year, don't worry about it. Like, I know people online are going to try and say, oh yeah, like you should have been like this perfect student, you should have been like locked in. In my opinion, like, I can only speak from a GCSE perspective. I only locked in properly like in March. So literally after this month, I only properly locked in March, and I basically messed about in lessons and stuff. But I tried at the end of year 10, but after I figured out like something wasn't working, I kind of slacked off a bit. But it doesn't matter. As long as you plan correctly and follow the plan, and you just lock in now, you have the same amount of chance to get a grade 9 or the best grade in your subjects as anyone else does. So just follow these 3 steps. Let me know how it goes. Go and follow me on Instagram at shamalam.7, and I wish you the best in your exams, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.